Hello, and welcome to this season of Alter Eagle. We are starting season 1 with the topic of addiction in Butler County. Conversations on the physical side of addiction, trauma, the neuroscience, mental health, and stigma surrounding addiction. Experts, resources, and stories from people who have fought addiction head on. I am your host, Laura Crago. Let's keep the conversation going. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. For a long time, I suffered with depression and anxiety. I had tried therapy before, but struggled finding a therapist I connected with until I found BetterHelp. That's why I am so excited to share BetterHelp's mission to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, because finding a therapist can be hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online. Remote therapy sessions, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. Click the link in description and receive 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. And by clicking that link, you support this channel. Plus, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. I was struggling for a long time, and BetterHelp was where I found my therapist, Whitney, who I still see weekly for almost 2 years now. So, if you're struggling like I was, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in description or go to betterhelp.com/altereagle. That's betterhelp.com/altereagle. There's no better time than now to start your mental health journey. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. This episode is brought to you by R.W. McDonald & Sons Incorporated, Robert Stevens Jewelers. Thank you to our sponsors for your support on our first season of the Alter Eagle podcast. Be sure to click the link in bio for your discount for BetterHelp Therapy online. 10% off your first month. How many of you out there recognize dates, like a date that something happened, or a date, an anniversary, or a significant moment in your life? For me, there are a few of those, but a date that continues to pop up is the 16th. And it wasn't ever planned for things to just fall on that date, but they have. The first memory that I have of the 16th having a significance to me was February 16th, 1995, when my father passed away. And when I decided to do my first benefit in memory of him, this was when I was living in New York City, and it was a dance benefit that so many of my friends and coworkers that I worked with at this restaurant, who were all dancers and singers and performers, who just stepped up to the plate. I still think about the people who were in that show with me, and we would work late Friday nights, and they would get up on Saturday mornings and they would come. We would go to the New York Sports Club in Manhattan. It was like right off of Times Square. A few of us had memberships. So what we would do is we would guest one of the people who didn't have a membership in, and we'd go into the studio space that they had. There were no classes booked there, and we'd just go in and we would dance. And we practiced the routines. And at first I knew that they were like, they didn't know the show in its entirety, like from start to finish, until we did a full run through one day. But when I decided to do this show, I wanted to do it on the anniversary of my father passing. So at this point, it had been, let's say 10, 12, 13 years since he had passed away. And I, just had it in my head that I was like, we're going to do one show. And when I went to the theater, the theater that I ended up finding, the space I found, it had 120 seats. And I was like, we're going to fill it. We're going to do one show. It's going to be amazing. And to book this space, you had to put half of the cost of the rental down to secure it, to have that date. And it was about a week before the next month started. So rent was coming up. I was a bartender. I was between, dancing gigs. And I was standing there holding the money. I had the cash in my hand and I thought, this is my rent money. Like this is my rent money. My rent was a little over $700. I can't remember the exact amount right now. I want to say it was like $740 or something like that. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking, is it possible for me to make this in the next week bartending? Yes, it is. But I'm taking a huge gamble. I'm taking the money that I have to my name to put down on this theater because I am so dead set on doing it on February 16th. And I did it. I signed the contract. I handed the cash over. And I was nervous, but I wasn't worried. And I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone that's listening, but the point of me telling you this is that you have to be willing to take the risk in order to get the reward. Life is not always going to be about constantly being successful. Life is going to be full of failure. And the position that I'm in here, I'm so grateful for this position here. But I do feel like I am constantly I'm doing something very different. I have a lot of people here that believe in me. And one of those people, actually, I don't want to say one of those people. The top person is our guest for today's episode. This is someone who I feel very fortunate and honored to be able to call my boss, a mentor, and someone that I really look up to. I've met a lot of strong women in my life, and she's up there. She is up there. She's someone that I can walk into her office at any moment and have a conversation with her and be totally transparent and totally honest. And we might disagree on certain things, but we always are able to have the conversation. And what I respect the most about her is that she's honest with me to my face. She's challenged me. I remember one time I made the comment to her. I said, I'm going to dig my heels in. And she said, good. And for the first time, I think I really felt like it was okay for me to say, actually, no, that's not okay. I don't like to cause conflict. I don't like drama, but I do feel as if I have always been a people pleaser. I know this about myself, right? I know this about myself. And the significance of me talking about the date, February 16th, and the dance show in New York is that my first day at the Butler Eagle was October 16th. I don't know if that means anything. It probably doesn't. But a lot of times it's okay to just think, that's interesting. It's okay to feel something that other people might not recognize or not even pay attention to, but to you, it has some sort of significance, right? In the last episode, I did share a little bit about my dad and when he passed away. And oh man, there are times where I think, I wish I could hear his voice because I can't remember what his voice sounded like. I wish I could have a conversation with him now. The dance show that I did in New York, it essentially was it was a timeline from the day that he passed away until that moment. And it was me sharing with my friends and my family who came to New York to see the show, all of these things that I had gone through that I know my dad saw. I know that his spirit lives on and that he has been there through those moments, not in body, but in spirit. And it was hard because there were a lot of things about my story that weren't anything to brag about. They weren't happy. They didn't show my strength. A lot of them showed my weakness, my sadness, my depression. But there were those moments that I shared as well. You know, I'm in a space right now where I feel like even though life feels like it's still a bit of an uphill battle, I know that I can get to the top. I know that I can get to the top. And I really have to say, I'm so grateful that today's guest, the general manager of the Butler Eagle, Tammy Schuey, took the time to sit down with me. And I really had to just keep going to her office and saying, okay, are we doing this? We scheduled it. And I hope she doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but it was 10 a.m. last week. And it was 10:05. And, you know, Tammy's a busy lady. She is in high demand. She has a lot of different things that she is in charge of. And not only that, but if you know Tammy, you know that she is really involved in this community to the point where if I had to sit here and list all of the things, we would have an episode that was about an hour and a half long to talk about all of the things that she has done for her community, for our community. And I know that she would also be embarrassed because she's a very humble person. But I have to say that when I saw her and I said, hey, are we still doing this? She's like, oh yeah, that's right. She's like, oh, we're really doing this, huh? And I said, yeah, we're really doing this. But then she sat down and we just had a really authentic conversation. So even though I feel like I am in a bit of an uphill battle, I am grateful that I know that she has my back. And I know that if I really, really went to her and I said, hey, listen, I feel like I need support here, or this is how I'm feeling, that she would genuinely take the time to hear me out. She might not always agree with me, but life isn't always about finding people who are going to agree with everything that you say and do. And that's kind of the fun part, right? Is to be able to be your authentic self. And even when I come to her with crazy ideas, she just laughs and she's like, you come to me with these crazy ideas. And I said, yeah, but it's working. And I'm really grateful. So, you know, the 16th, whether it's February 16th or October 16th, or, you know, the day I left on my cross-country bike ride, August 16th, just take a moment to, I don't know, pay a little bit more attention to the things that are happening in your life, the positive things, the good things. And I think they're just reminders that, you know, you're here for a reason, that you have a purpose, and that you are necessary. And we all need that reminder. So without further ado, here is our episode with the baddie boss, Miss Tammy Schuey. I know how to do this. I know how to fix this.
And you did.
And I'll do it.
You're a fixer.
I try to be.
Me too.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
So Tammy Schuey, our general manager of the Butler Eagle. This is a big day, everybody. This is a big day here at Alter Eagle. Really honored to be sitting here with you, I just have to say. So if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So
I'm happy you're here.
So there's that. Me
but
too.
I can't believe I'm sitting here.
I know. She, I think I scare you sometimes.
You do. You're overwhelming.
The ideas. Yeah. Yes, I am. I've been told I'm intimidating. Maybe that's why I'm still single. I don't know. It's fine.
I've heard that, but too.
I'm
about myself.
Well, hey, there we go. Birds of a feather. So
absolutely.
Okay. So just a few things. Tammy has worked at the Butler Eagle for 33 years. That is quite the accomplishment. Went to school for IT. So some fun facts that people might not know about you. When you first started here, you introduced the Macintosh computer.
Technology. I was teaching people.
She was teaching the composing department. So that was her first position here, and then moved into Eagle Imaging, which was kind of a desktop publishing with Eagle Graphics. You did that till 1998. And then you started the website.
Yeah, 1998. Yeah, it was early on. It was very basic website, not what we have today, which was, we put all of our content online in 2004. Prior to that, it was just little snippets, just kind of teasing what we had that was coming out in the paper.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was fun.
And then software applications, and then you eventually took over the IT department, and you were the director of that for 17 years. And from that position, you moved into an assistant general manager position. And now you are the general manager.
I am.
How long have you been in the general manager position?
A few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I mean, how was that transition going from being the director of IT and then moving into a position that basically oversees everything that happens here?
Well, I mean, I had a mentor in Ron Feldnecker, and I do think, he helped me a lot, learn what it took to run this organization. I think being, in the IT and running the IT for the company helped me learn what all of the departments do, because I was basically figuring out what software packages and how to, set everything up to make their jobs as efficient as possible. So I learned what all of them did. And so I think that helped because I have an understanding of how each department works.
Yeah. No, you really do. It's really impressive, but obviously that shows like your time and your dedication here. So recently, she doesn't like the fact that I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it. So recently she was included in editor and publisher's 15 over 50 class of 2024. So those honorees, there's 22 of them in total across the United States. So, and they represent like traditional media, legacy media, digital news media, broadcast, public media organizations of all sizes. So that's quite the recognition there. And I don't know, I've noticed that about you. You don't really like to be in the spotlight. You don't really want to be, but it just speaks to who you are and that you are someone who I appreciate as a mentor. And I don't know, I'm excited for my future here because I get to work with you. So yeah,
thanks.
Yay. She also was a part of E&P's 2010 production All-Star. So what was that? You showed me your award. It was like this glass award. You went to Chicago for that.
It's got a big star on it.
Yeah.
An All-Star.
Yeah. She's
At least
fancy.
That's what they told me.
She's fancy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You also won that. We didn't talk about this upstairs when we talked about how we were going to have our discussion today, but you also were the winner of the Dancing with the Stars in Butler.
You saw that trophy upstairs.
Oh, I saw that too. I saw that too.
That was one of the most challenging things actually I ever completely out of my comfort zone. But I had some good dance mates, Leslie Oshie, Nick Newpower, Kevin Boozle. I mean, we had quite a group of, competitors. But that was a fundraiser for the Butler County Symphony. Unfortunately, that was in 2019. They were prepping for 2020 and COVID hit. So it did not continue, but it was, when I look back, it was a lot of fun, but totally out of my comfort zone. I'm not a dancer like you.
I don't know though. You won, so I still need to look it up.
I didn't win
it's
for
on
my
YouTube, people. Look it up.
I didn't win for my skills. I won for raising money. So
yeah,
fortunately, people got behind me and contributed to the Butler County Symphony. So that's how I got the trophy.
I don't know. I'll be the judge of that. I'm going to find the video.
Oh, it's out there.
Schuey. That's how you spell her last name.
I had the best outfit, though. I mean, if I didn't win my outfit rocked.
I love that. I mean, that's huge, though, in the dance world, especially for comfort and just when you feel good in what you're wearing when you're dancing, that makes a huge difference. So Tammy is also a mother, a grandmother, and a cyclist. And that's a really interesting story, too. How you got into cycling was you started as a runner.
Yeah, I started as a runner. We had a lady here at the Eagle who She was just recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and in order to support her, I'm like, you know what? There's this race for the cure. I think I'll do something to support her. So I started running and kept on going, and I was asked to be a running leg on a team triathlon with my friend Sherry Lynn from the Atrium. So she asked me to do this. I'm like, sure. And then I got done, and I'm like, you know what? This triathlon thing looks like a lot of fun. And so I bought my first road bike and started swimming and did some triathlons for several years. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now it's kind of scary being out on the road on a bike. So we've transitioned to a lot of mountain biking. Happy to have Alameda in our backyard that we spend a little busy right now, but spend multiple nights a week over at Alameda riding. So it's great to just kind of get out there and be in nature and challenge yourself.
Yeah, we've talked about cycling. I haven't gotten into the mountain biking side of it, but I agree with you on that. It can be scary being on the road on your road bike, no matter how careful you are or what you wear. People just really aren't paying that much attention, and it's really unfortunate.
A thing.
It's a thing, and I think I can't sit here and say that I'm not one of the people that will come to a stoplight and look at my phone and maybe respond to something when I shouldn't be. I use the vocal text a lot, and I'll often say, I apologize if this makes no sense, if this is a run-on without punctuation, or even the vocal memos. I've sent you voice memos.
Yes, you do.
I've sent Tammy voice memos. I'm like, she's really going to just, one of these days, just be like, this girl, she just deep sending me memos. But it's kind of easier to get across your point when you hear someone's voice, and I'm obviously someone who talks.
Yes, you are.
For a living, so I appreciate you listening to my voice memos.
I do.
So thank you. So being here 33 years, you obviously have a passion for the Butler Eagle, keeping the Butler Eagle alive. We're in something really exciting right now to be continued. We will talk about that in the future, the project we're a part of right now. But passion for journalism in the Butler Eagle, and a huge part of that is dedicating to your staff and showing up for your staff. So the reason we really did want to sit down here today and talk was Tammy was present at the July 13th, 2024 Trump rally here at the Butler Farm Show grounds. And obviously there's a lot of different things to unpack there. And I think one of the hardest things is when you ask someone like, how are you doing, when they probably don't even know the answer to that question, right?
No. I agree there. I was there. I was pretty far forward. I was there to support the staff if they needed a manager on site. And there were other than our reporters, we had 4 people, either in the pit, which is where they put the reporters and photographers, and we also had some folks out in the crowd. I just did feel there needed to be a manager there. And I was at the Trump rally in 2020, so we had kind of a sense of how that was all going to go. But none of us anticipated what was going to happen, obviously.
Yeah. So initially, you were there to support your staff. And it was a key moment in history, especially for our town. Yeah,
to have a sitting president and then him return, 4 years later to the same Butler County, not the same location, but same Butler County. It's pretty impressive. And we felt we, needed to, cover it well. Put our little county on the map again, which, it was just a few days before the RNC was to start. So, there was anticipation and talk, and as we're planning our coverage, would he, announce his VP candidate, what might happen. We also had, Melfi Fogel. We were hoping that she would be, as we reported prior to, be able to get an audience with former President Trump. So there were a lot of things and a lot of angles that we were looking at going into the rally, and but it all took a drastic turn.
Yeah.
6 minutes in to
I
his
think
speech.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people forget when it comes to journalism is that it is your job. It is our job. I have to say, all right. Sometimes I forget, but we have said
You're
this
part of
before.
us now.
I'm part of this, but I'm not a journalist, so I have
Nor am I.
so much respect for what they do and how they have to take stories and put them out there and the scrutiny they often face, right? And especially in a situation like this, to have, the young people who are so dedicated to going out there to getting the story, reporting on the story. And that is their job, and that's what they're doing. I know that there was conversations around a few of the reporters who had said that they immediately hit the ground, but then went right into, I have to get this story out.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Irina's story, she's even on the ground still, and really surveying her surroundings and what is everybody doing. That journalist in her just immediately went to, I got to pay attention and I got to do my job. And Morgan, who, immediately, once she realized she was safe and, I got to get my camera. So, these, they really stepped up to the plate. I mean, I can't thank them enough for the work that they've done. I'm very proud of the team, from the editors to the reporters to the photographers to the designers, who then, I called them in early. We have a job to do, because as the newspaper, it's our job to record this history for our community and to make sure that they are all informed. They know what's going on. That's why we're here. The national media, yes, they were all there, and then they came in droves afterwards. But at some point they're going to leave, but we're going to carry this story through, and we're going to be paying attention to what we can do for our community, but also keeping them informed.
Yeah. So would you feel comfortable talking about, those first few moments, like what went through your mind? I know you mentioned that obviously you immediately thought of your staff and really hoping everyone was safe.
Yeah, and I got to thank Jamie Kelly was our editor back at the office, and he was watching the live stream and immediately started reaching out to the staff. So when it happened, like I said, I was pretty far forward, and we hit the ground. You're stunned. You hear the pop 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 going on around you, and you see the president drop. So it's like shock, and you drop, and Secret Service is there saying stay down, stay down, stay down, and then they're able to get the president up and out, former President Trump. But it was just so surreal. It's like, is this really happening right in front of me? You just don't, your brain doesn't even know how to process it, other than, okay, well we got to get out of here too. And as we're trying to get up, and Secret Service is just kind of surveilling everything. And then we realized right behind me were the two gentlemen that had been shot. And they quickly got up there and were able to get them down. And then you had, they had the speakers up on, cranes on big booms, and, nobody realized all of a sudden it comes down and there's fluid, I'm assuming hydraulic fluids, spewing out of that as well. It had been hit. So there's just so many things going on in your brain, and it's like, how do you process all of this? And to be honest with you, I still haven't processed all of it.
Yeah.
But thankfully, as soon as I kind of got up and started to be able to move, Jamie called me and said, we're all okay. All the staff is okay, because I don't know where Irina is. I don't know where Morgan is and Steve. So no, some of them I knew they were probably further back, but Irina, I really worried about her because I didn't know where she was. So I was so thankful to get that phone call from Jamie.
Yeah. And you could see where the sharpshooters were. You could see.
I saw the snipers, the counter snipers.
Yes, the snipers.
Yes. I could see them on the roof from where I was, and that's what was kind of disorienting because when you're hearing it, you can't tell where the shots were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know were there more. You just had no idea.
Yeah.
So it was scary.
An underlying topic on the podcast is mental health. Mm-hmm. So obviously the conversation we're having right now, that's a huge component of that. And I know the newsroom has been working so diligently and working on, a story around that. But for you, what, over the weekend, we had talked about recording on Friday, and then it did kind of feel like maybe I was rushing and pushing a little bit to get you in here and to talk about it. And I thought, well, maybe the weekend, maybe she can have the weekend and sort of marinate a little bit with what's going on. And obviously that's not something to rush.
Bored in Butler County? Need to know where to catch a show this weekend? What events are even happening in the area? I'm Molly Miller, one of the writers behind the Butler Eagles Weekend Entertainment section, and I'm here to banish the boredom from your cold and rainy days. Sign up and receive Miller Minutes. That's my column, and a list of Butler County-based events direct to your inbox every Thursday afternoon by visiting bit.ly/ButlerEagleWE newsletter. That's bit.ly/ButlerEagleWE newsletter. You can also find the latest events under the A&E tab at www.butlereagle.com. Click Weekend Entertainment, or pick up Thursday's print edition of the paper for the latest events. See, there's lots to do in Butler County when you read the Butler Eagles Weekend Entertainment section. Visit bit.ly/ButlerEagleWE newsletter to sign up for the weekly newsletter, so you won't be bored in Butler County again.
Where were we at? Talking about mental health and just sort of, what, I know you talked a little bit that you did some gardening that weekend. Last weekend, you were in your garden working on that. But what have you done for yourself other than that? And what would you say to anyone who might have been there? I think you have to give yourself a little grace too, right? Because everyone's going to kind of process this differently. But anyone was there, and a point you made before you answer, a point that you did make was a situation like this. The last time there was an attempted assassination on, whether it was a presidential candidate, a president, or a sitting president or a nominee, has been since the 80s, or, Ronald Reagan.
Right. Yeah.
So that in itself that's a huge component of this, but also the fact that someone did pass away, and there were about 14,000 people that witnessed this.
Yeah,
so the witnesses is like
I don't have a full count on, but basically you had many thousand people who just witnessed some major trauma. Some were closer than others, so they may have a different level, but it's a lot to process, and trauma alone. And personally, we're just running on adrenaline all week. I feel that there was probably not one day until the weekend that I didn't have some reason to actually shed a few tears, and they could have been in appreciation. There's been some reporting and done about the fact that we at the Eagle here we were exhausted, and the word got out that we were exhausted, we needed help, and actually the Indiana Gazette, loaned us a reporter, and I got this a message from Margaret Weaver over there, who's the managing editor, and she talked about volunteering herself even, and she just said, we got your back. And so
That's
this
amazing.
support, of course, and then tears rolled down my eyes because as exhausted as we were, people were there to help, and people do want to help. We're going to have some more conversations with other organizations, news organizations that have also, had to report on trauma within their community. So we're going to be looking at that and see, what they did to help, their community. I think, Butler's a giving community and, they've helped me through tragedy, and I'm sure they'll step up again. Because there are people struggling. I read in this morning's paper, Sam Zerzolo, a very well-known veteran and township supervisor for Butler Township. He said, "I'm still not sleeping at night. It's real. It's real. We're going to struggle for a little while." And so one of the focuses that we will have as an organization is what can our part be to help our community heal. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be top of mind for me because in going through a tragedy before, you have to be mindful of healing needs to be intentional. It's just not going to happen on its own, whether that's therapy, counseling, just togetherness, whatever that may be. I don't know what this looks like, but it's something that is going to be top of mind to help wherever we can as an organization and me personally.
Yeah. It's important to let people know that you're all making that a priority on top of the fact that you were there and you're also dealing with your own process of figuring out how to continue to move forward. And like you said, you were running on adrenaline, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody was here Saturday nights. I mean, our managing editor, Donna Seibert, was still on vacation and drove back in order to make sure that she was supporting the newsroom. And Tracy Liturgy, they were here till 2 a.m. Yeah. And I even the next day was like, what do you need from me? Because I'm like, hey, I know I'm not a journalist. I can't write anything, but what can I do? Mm-hmm. So just know, I think sometimes just knowing that you have support is helpful in itself. So if, anyone listening, if you know someone that was there or who is struggling, let them know that you're there to support them. Sometimes just listening, sometimes just talking about something is helpful, right?
Oh, absolutely. Talking things through can help ease the pain for sure.
Yeah. And that there are resources and that, we're on top of it. We have a small newsroom here. I mean, we've been around for 154 years, but to be perfectly honest, everybody that's here is working overtime.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Everybody's working overtime. So doing our best, and anyone who, we have to report the news. We have to report what is happening. That is what we do. And I know that people have faced a lot of scrutiny. There was a conversation about that, what Morgan experienced. And it's upsetting because you have a young person who is passionate about, photojournalism and is putting themselves into these situations, which nobody walked in there thinking that anything like that was going to happen. You don't walk into a situation like that. And unfortunately, because of instances like this, now people are scared. There is more fear out there, and there is a divide. And so we have to talk about how do you find a way to be kind in these moments and gracious. Everybody processes things differently. And I think a lot of people in that moment they were angry, and some people tend to take their anger and they have to somehow channel it somewhere. So, and I know that she understands that, right? And that's par for the course, unfortunately, but is there anything else that you feel is important to share right now, especially in your position?
Well, I think, whenever you're talking about journalists and, anger being channeled to them, it is at the local level, especially. I mean, these journalists, they want to be there for their community. They want, and, they're very focused on, telling a fair story. There's a sign up in the newsroom that says, go get both sides of the story, for a reason, because it's not our job to slant anything one way or the other. And we make every effort we can to make sure that we're telling both sides, and it's up to the reader. We give them the facts, and it's up to the reader to decide, where their opinions lie. So to channel that anger to a local journalist that way, it's very disheartening.
Yeah.
There are media outlets that, they do have an agenda. That's never a local newspaper.
No.
It's just not. We're here for our community, so I found it very sad.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know. Like, I had reached out to her through social media, and I did post one of the photos that she took and shared it through the Instagram story for the podcast, and tagged her and just said, really proud of you for continuing to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for us and for the community. And that's something to be really commended. And just yesterday found out, and I'm here, right? And I read that story and found out what had happened. And I just thought, like, that's just so unfortunate. Like,
it is.
It's really
It
unfortunate that, because I guarantee she was feeling all of the things everyone else was feeling, but then immediately went into, I've got a job to do.
I got a job to do.
And was getting scrutinized in the moment, in real time, and just how that would have felt. I mean, I probably would have burst into tears and been like a hot mess trying to take photos, like shaking. And again, we all react differently, right? You've even said you're not an emotional person, and last week you were very emotional.
I am not an emotional.
Well, rightfully so. But I mean, you're human, and I think that's part of where we're at right now, right? Mm-hmm. That we're all human, and you can have your own sort of feelings and comprehend this a certain way. And trust me, I mean, I had a lot of friends from both sides just come in with opinions, and I was like, what you don't seem to understand is, this is where I grew up. I mean, I talked about it in yesterday's episode. I used to stand on my front porch in Mount Chestnut, and I could see the lights from the farm show. And I even remember, like, if I got quiet enough, because where we were at, it was quiet, you can almost kind of hear that there was something happening. And I knew what it was. I knew what was going on. And to think of that now, it's different now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it will always be, But it's like, how did we get here? And and that's going to be a conversation moving forward, and something that we were even talking about prior to, even within our own community, and the divisiveness that we see in many aspects, economically, politically, housing, and as we move forward from this, is how do we steer that conversation to, as people have said, unity, compassion. We can all agree to disagree on things.
Absolutely.
And and that's okay. That's what makes us human. And my father taught me many, many years ago that everybody has value. There's a reason we're put on this earth, and we don't know the shoes that person has walked in, and you have to have compassion for that. I have volunteered on the board for the Ellen O'Brien Geyser Center since 2016, and I've seen a lot of amazing things happen with that organization, and the people who have come through there, and with your series leading up, that we launched to Alter Eagle with, it just shows that, you don't know the path that these that people have taken, and but there's great things to happen, and you just gotta get them through some hard times possibly, and amazing things can happen after that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And that's the thing about you that I really respect is I feel like you're always going to something. You're a part of so many things, and it's one of those like, how does she do it?
I don't sleep very much.
That and
no. I love my volunteer work, and yes, some people think I do. My son, he's like, Mom, shouldn't you slow down a little bit? But yeah, I love every organization I'm involved with.
Yeah,
I really do. I think they do great things. The YMCA. I've been involved with the YMCA for I don't even a long time.
You're going to start taking my class at the YMCA?
I'd love to get back to
I told
doing
Heidi
more
it's got to be at
exercising.
6:30 because Tammy said she would come. So, but sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah, and even the Golden Tornado Scholastic Foundation. I love my high school, which is East Brady High School. Actually, I just texted them this morning because they're going to have a reunion on August 17th. However, I won't be in town, so I will miss it. But that high school doesn't exist anymore. So I told the Butler folks that they could, I was happy they adopted me and allowed me to be a part of the organization because, what they do to support teachers and students, they do a lot of great things. So happy to be involved with that one as well.
I mean, I'm better when I'm busier personally. I sort of feel like coming here, having this job, stepping into this position was something I sort of manifested and was in a place where, I had a job, I was making money, but I was like, this is not what I'm meant to be doing right now. Like, could I do this? Sure. I could do this and just be fine with that. But there was something I didn't
not
wanna,
you. That's
I didn't.
You're not challenging yourself, and I think
that's it.
I think if you have passion for what you do, you're just going to love it, excel, and it shows. And I can tell you the folks up in the newsroom have that passion.
Yes, they do.
I got a letter from somebody who toured here last week. And they commented about the passion that they saw in everybody they encountered while they were here. And it's true. When you're in this business, it gets into, you realize how important what we are doing is to our community. It's important, to have a community, it's been shown that whenever a local news source, typically a newspaper, leaves a community, the community actually goes downhill economically, because the citizens aren't as informed and they don't know what's going on and they're just not as engaged. So I think it's vital for us to hang in there, and it's a lot of hard work. We do a lot of things to support our newspaper, but we're still fighting.
A fun fact that I think would be cool to share is like how much we recycle.
Yeah.
I don't think we talk about that enough.
No, we don't. No, we recycle a lot. All of our plates, all of our paper that comes back or that, doesn't get used, it all gets baled up into great big bales.
Yeah,
and
it does.
Shipped out.
They have a whole I mean, you walk back there and it's wild the amount of because there's the shredder and then everything gets put into these huge, like you said, bales.
Maybe you
right?
could take a picture and add it.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. I can do that.
To the graphic.
Yeah, I just think that these are important things for people to know that we are so aware of where we are right now, and being mindful of the environment and all of that. And I think that's when I found that fact, I thought, well, that's really cool. And even just the garbage, there's not even that much garbage that goes out. They only pick up one small
Yeah, for an
For-
organization
yeah.
this size, we have
Yeah.
very little waste.
We have
because
very
try
little
and,
waste. Yeah.
recycle everything that we can.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a fun fact to bring up. And I don't know. It
Yeah.
had come up yesterday too, and briefly in our meeting, and my brain just sort of went ding. You know how that happens with me. I just like have a
Yes,
thought.
I do.
I have a thought, and I'm like, I have a thought, and I don't really think too much about what the reaction's going to be. I'm like, well, I'm not going to know until I say it.
Say it.
Find
it's
out.
going to come out of your mouth.
Find out. I mean, I just feel really grateful. That was one of the biggest things I wanted you to know. I feel really grateful not only to be here, but to also have you sitting here with me today, because you wanted this. I mean, I told her, I was like, you wanted a podcast.
I
and
did.
You found me,
And I
here
found
we are.
you
And
having pizza.
she was having pizza at Delaterra, and I walked up to her and started talking, and
Here you go.
and then she got my email. It's funny, my email went to spam. Your email that came through went to spam, and it was Brian, that because he needed some advice and with his podcast studio, and I said no, I don't think I did, and I'm like, I don't check my spam. I'm really bad at that. And then when I saw the email, I was like,
because it's spam.
yeah. But when I got the email, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have an interview at the Butler Eagle, and then here we are. So yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah, it really has. I'm excited.
I think
for
it's
this
a
and
great addition, and I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but we tell the stories of Butler County, and we try to do that on any medium that a listener or a reader would like to get their news from, and we try to be mindful of where are people getting their news, and making sure that we're on that platform. Just to keep everybody informed of what's going on in our community, because it's not just the negative stories, it's the good stories, and our staff is really good about finding the good news that is going on in Butler County as well.
Yep. Yeah, they really are. And so, and we're having conversations on what that looks like, as a organization, like working together, and how we can start to. But like I said, I mean, we got a small newsroom, and I'm one person, so
we do amazing things.
We do with what we have.
People.
We're making it happen. So, any last final parting words or anything? I don't know. What do you feel like leaving us with?
Well, I don't know. I know we have a lot to absorb, process. But I do know that Butler County is very resilient, and we're going to get through this. And my hope would be we will be stronger when we get a chance to process this and heal. And so I love this county, and I love the fact that I have the opportunity to lead this organization, because I think it's so vital that we're here, and truly appreciate all the support that we get, from our local leadership to businesses to our community, our readers. We're here because of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, thank you.
You're
She's a
welcome.
baddie. I told her that. She's in the category. So yeah, you are. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Alter Eagle. Join me every Monday for a new episode, and be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Instagram at Alter Eagle Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay hopeful, stay kind.